Welcome to your Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel. This week, HR Clough Companies and Kearsarge Heating again presents a full half-hour special, but this week we're in Warner. The HR Clough Companies are dedicated to providing the best local heating and cooling products with other services and being a good corporate citizen with efforts like today's Yankee Chronicle special. In an effort to prepare voters for their town elections, HR Clough presents as a public service representatives of Warner's Power Committee. The committee is creating a proposal to pool a ratepayer of accounts into a large group to buy electricity at a lower rate. The plan would offer several mixes of renewable versus fossil fuel energy. The lower rate would be lower than or equal to the Eversource default rate. If the plan is approved at the town meeting, Warner Community Power would become the default electricity supplier shown on the Eversource bill. When we return, members of the committee will join us to present the details. Please stay with us as we hear from the underwriters that make your Yankee Chronicle possible.
This program is supported by Main Street Bookends of Warner. For books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. Main Street Bookends of Warner.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, coming to you from the Warner Town Hall as we talk about community power. And I'm now joined by Henry Herndon, who's a consultant for the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire. Hi, Henry.
Hello, Abby.
Excited to talk to you and learn a lot. I know nothing about this. So let's start with, what is community power?
Thanks. It's an exciting topic. It's really a movement that is spreading across the state, and it's something that's made possible by recent legislation. So the New Hampshire legislature, they put forward community power as a way for cities, towns, and counties to better control energy costs for residents and businesses, and also give them more choice. So give them access to markets and allow them to choose where do they want to source their electric power from.
Got it. And so you work for the Coalition of New Hampshire, and then Warner has consulted you?
Yeah, in a sense. So Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire, it's a statewide nonprofit that was formed by a number of cities and towns in the state, including the town of Warner. Warner's a member. Warner helps to oversee the governance and the finances of the coalition. And the coalition, it's really a new nonprofit power agency that will provide energy services to the cities and towns that participate. So currently there's about 30 cities and towns across the state that are members.
Oh, interesting. And that was one of my questions. When did this form? Power is a hot topic right now. We're all, hearing the rise in costs of many different towns struggling from this. So is this something new since this, or kind of going hand in hand?
They have coincided. So we've really seen a spike in electric rates, especially from the regulated utility companies. And yeah, this is really a way to help control those rising power costs. So the coalition, it was formed on October 1st, 2021, so a little over a year ago. It's pretty new. And the first 10 cities and towns are going to implement community power for the first time this spring. So they're going to enroll the collective residents and businesses into a lower energy supply rate than they're currently getting from Eversource or their other electric utility company.
So using Warner as an example of itself, what are they looking to do and how can you help them?
Yeah, so Warner is about to go to town meeting to adopt community power, to adopt a community power plan that will then give them the authority to move forward with a program that lowers rates for customers. And Warner's sort of in this wave 2 group. There's a great cohort in Merrimack County, New London, Warner, Webster, Boscawen, Canterbury, Pembroke. They're all going to town meeting this coming season. But beyond that, there's sort of a group of communities that are a little further along, and they're actually going to start the programs in the next couple of months.
Got it. And what does it look like for the residents so for the ones that you're saying are starting up in just a few months, what does it look like for them? What does it change about their power source?
So some of the communities that are launching, there's a few in the Upper Valley, Lebanon, Hanover, the city of Nashua, a couple out on the seacoast, including Ryan, Exeter. For them, it'll look like each customer will get a notice in the mail from their local nonprofit community power program that says, welcome to Rye Community Power. Here's your new electric rate. It's lower than the Eversource rate. If you'd like to choose 100% clean energy option, you have that choice and you can choose to do that. And Otherwise, you're now enrolled into this new Rye Community Power program, and we're going to start saving you money on day one.
And what if someone's watching and they're saying, no, I'm not going to participate? Is that an option?
Yeah, programs are completely voluntary. Anyone can choose to take power from their utility company. They can choose to shop on the energy market for another provider. So that's always a voluntary option. Anyone can pick what they like with no cost. This is just creating one more choice for the residents and businesses.
Got it, I see. And if someone's watching who's saying, I want this in my town, is this an option? Is this something that is going to we're going to see more and more towns join in on, and how do they do so?
Yeah, so it's been spreading quickly. So last year there were perhaps a dozen that were locally approved. There's another dozen on the docket for this year's town meeting and some of the city councils. And then there's this strong cohort of a number of other communities that are starting to get interested, looking at how do we develop a plan, how do we bring that to town meeting, how can we start giving these benefits to our communities as well. So I think it's spreading pretty quickly.
Well, it's a hot topic. I mean, everyone's feeling the pain of all rise of costs across the board, but I think power is one of those that has been just astronomically different than when you compare what you had a year ago.
Yeah, and everybody's feeling it. And just another thing I think it's important for folks to understand, this is not replacing the utility company. Eversource, they own the grid, they operate the grid, they make sure we get reliable electricity.
Sure.
And that will remain the same. So they're really a partner in these efforts, and they're not, their role doesn't change. They continue to own and operate the grid.
Got it. Okay, important to note.
Right.
If anybody watching is saying, I need to talk to Henry, how do they do so?
You can visit cpcnh.org, and then for those launching communities, there's some good information on communitypowernh.gov as well.
Okay, so this is something we're going to start to see. I mean, more and more towns are going, and cities too, it's not just a town,
right.
It's going to start to say we need to group together and help each other.
Right, so what this statewide coalition does is it provides the service to the communities, and it allows them to have an economy of scale so they can get better pricing.
Right.
And yeah, it really just supports them through every step of the process to implement.
Fantastic. Well, Henry Herndon from the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire. Very interesting, great to tie it back to Warner's. We sit here at the Warner Town Hall. They're getting ready to embark on this, so I'm sure they appreciate your help, and thank you for all the information.
Thank you so much.
When we come back, I'll be joined by Clyde Carson, who's the chair of the Warner Community Power Committee. We'll be right back.
This program is supported by the Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge-Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, coming to you from the Warner Town Hall in this special edition talking about this Warner Community Power Coalition as they get to vote on March 15th. And I'm now joined by the chair of the Warner Community Power Committee, Clyde Carson. Hi, Clyde.
Hi, Abby.
I'm excited to talk to you about this because this is an important milestone for the town, as a lot of history is built up to this one day, but it is important to remind people to get out there and vote on March 15th.
Absolutely.
And tell us why. Tell us what you're going for here.
Sure. On March 15th, the voters of Warner will have an opportunity to lower their electric bills. It's plain and simple, and it's a good thing. So being members of the coalition, we're going to be able to use our combined electric usage with our town and amongst other towns to get a better rate for our residents and businesses in town. It's one of the things that I think is really good is you don't, as Henry mentioned earlier, you don't have to do it if you don't want to.
Right.
But coming to town meeting and voting for it, you will enable your neighbors to do it if they want to do it.
Yes. So does it matter if someone lives on a street and you say yes and your neighbor says no?
It doesn't.
Okay.
It has to pass town meeting by a majority vote.
Okay.
And if it passes, then the town will enter into contract negotiations with the Coalition of New Hampshire for what we want to do in the town of Warner, and that's another big aspect of this. We have local control.
Sure.
And we have local control. We have better prices.
Sure.
That's a good thing. And you don't have to be part of it, but by voting for it, you enable your neighbors and to take part of it.
Okay, that's a good point. So if you vote yes for it, it could help your neighbors in town, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you yourself are part of it. Okay, good to clarify. And this also is the same for small businesses. Talk about that, because sitting here on Main Street in Warner, you're filled with small businesses.
We have a lot of small businesses, and if their main supplier is Eversource, the day one when the contract goes live, their electric bill goes down along with all the residents in town.
Got it. And when is this, if this passes March 15th, when would people start to see the difference?
So we were in what we just referred to as Wave 2 with the Coalition of New Hampshire, which means we're probably looking at sometime in the first part of 2024 or the second quarter of 2024 before we're active.
Let's talk about the history of Warner and Power. It goes back quite a ways, and not only the history of Warner Power, but you've also had to do a lot of work to get to this exact point.
Sure. So Warner has a long-standing energy committee. It was formed well over a dozen years ago. It's been active, bringing a lot of different programs to town. The biggest ones I think involved is we have 2 community solar arrays in town, one at our water treatment plant and one at the transfer station. And combined, they cover all the usage of the electricity of the town buildings. And we cover 100% of that usage. And the town has been really supportive for both of those activities.
Amazing.
So when the legislation came that said, hey, we can do community power, it was a natural for Warner to stand up and say, let's look into this.
Sure.
So the legislation requires that the select board establish a committee, and that's where the Warner Community Power Committee was formed. It's part of the statutory process. And the committee is tasked with looking at community power and developing a plan to present back to the select board. And if the select board approves the plan, then we go to town meeting. So for the past 2 years, the committee has been working on learning about community power. There's a lot to learn, there's a lot of details. We put it all together into a plan. We presented that with, after 2 public hearings. To have the community input and hear about the plan. We presented the plan to the select board, I think, early January. The select board approved the plan, and that meant that they could take it forward as a warrant article to the town meeting on March 15th.
Got it. And it just happens to be that this coincides with the rates going up already.
That was kind of like unbelievable. It happened.
I'm sure.
The rates went up.
You must have sat in a meeting being like, oh my goodness, look at this.
It just doubles the argument for having local control and lower rates.
Completely.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit to what we talked about at the beginning, if there's someone sitting there that's saying, I don't want this, is there anything that you can say to persuade them why they should? Is it as simple as this will help your rate and that's it?
Well, yeah, it's or your neighbor's rate, but roughly 80% of the residents in town get their electricity from Eversource. So if they go with community power on day 1, their electric bill is going to go down. It's as simple as that.
So you'll see it immediate once.
And we won't go forward with the plan unless we get better rates. And so it's a bonus for everybody who has Eversource today.
Fantastic. And so just to reiterate, March 15th, town voting day, right here, right?
It doesn't happen unless people come out and vote for it.
Yes, and it is important. This will be on the ballot, important for people to educate themselves, watch these interviews that we have going on, read about it, but it's very important that people look into this.
It's important. It'll be number 2 on the town meeting warrant, so if people want to come early, a lot of people have young kids and things like that. They can come early, vote for it, and go home if they'd like. All
right, well, coming right up. It's going to be right here around the corner in the calendar. March 15th is coming right up. Clyde Carson, the chair of the Warner Community Power Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abby.
When we come back, I'll be joined by another committee member of the Warner Community Power Committee, Jan Galati, a retired employee of the Public Utilities Commission. We'll be right back.
This program is supported by Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications.
Welcome back to the Warner Town Hall and Yankee Chronicle. I'm Abby Peel, and I'm now joined by another committee member of the Warner Community Power Committee, Jan Galati. And we should mention, to give you right praise from the start, you're a retired employee of the Public Utilities Commission.
That's right.
Okay, so you're going to be the historian today. We got a lot to talk about of the history, kind of how we got here. So fill us in.
Great. It's actually a very interesting history. We've been at this for about 20 years.
That's insane.
When the first notion that we should demonopolize and reconstruct the power industries became sort of a nationwide trend.
Wow.
And good old New Hampshire was number 1 to jump into restructuring. Then they kind of decelerated.
Yeah.
And it took until 2015 when when the legislature, with the help of the PUC, required Eversource and the other two regulated utilities, or rate-regulated utilities, to get rid of all of their generating power assets. So now no utility in the state of New Hampshire generates its own power. Their businesses are all 100% distribution, which means maintaining the lines and the substations and the poles and all that.
Sure.
They then buy their electricity on the open market at whatever rate they can get, and they pass that rate along. They don't make a profit on it. They pass that rate along.
And just to clarify, when you say you've been at it 20 years, is it the town or the state?
Well, the state has said we want restructuring 20 years ago.
20 years ago, and now it's really just becoming.
No, it's happening.
And is it becoming more a thing because this is just the time we're at, or is it really because people are seeing the increase in rates?
Actually, this started in 2015 when rates were relatively low.
Right.
And the first thing the legislature did was to open up the electric market to competitive suppliers. So there are now, there's probably about 20. Most of them are primarily, they deal with large businesses, but there are about 7, I think, that service residential customers. And within them, they have about 27 different plans.
Interesting.
I think Clyde mentioned that only, however, about 20% of our residents actually take competitive power, and there's many reasons for that. One is that it's complicated. One is that they're asking residents to kind of make a bet on the future because they have contract lengths of right now 1 month, 6 months, all the way out to 30 months or 36 months. If you're going to be up, you have to kind of go out there and start looking around to see if my current supplier is the supplier I want to go with, or if they've suddenly floated up to the top and they're charging more than Eversource,
sure,
which happens today, or if they're still right down near the end, near the bottom, or at the very bottom.
Right before we started, you said something that was very interesting. That I will say what I think you said, and then you can tell me exactly what you said, which is that the power lines won't change. And why is that important, that the power lines where they are where they are? And
they will always be owned by Eversource or one for-profit company, more than likely. No one is thinking that we want to take over the power lines and the stations.
I see.
They make their business, they make their money. Eversource and Unitil and Liberty make their money distributing, and so it's their incentive to keep the lines up and keep it good. And if they ever kind of make a mistake like they have done in snowstorms in the past, they get their wrists slapped by the Public Utilities Commission.
Exactly.
So if anyone is worried that they're not going to get their power restored, it's not going to be because they joined Warner Community Power.
Right, so it doesn't mean that your power is not going to be restored any quicker than it would or wouldn't be. You're not going to get different power lines to your house or business. It all stays the same.
Right.
Okay, important to mention.
Electrons are electrons are electrons.
I like that. You need a shirt that says that, I think. And then why do you think you can get a better rate than competitors?
Well, unfortunately, the Public Utility Commission has mandated that the rate-regulated utilities, including Eversource, have to go to bid twice a year for their rates, and they can't buy ahead. So they have to go every 6 months. They bid out what they think they're going to sell or need in 6 months. When last February, when it was clear that rates were about to go through the roof because of the Ukrainian war, Eversource had to sit on its hands until June. And in June, it got historically high rates.
I see.
They're a little bit lower now, and we can only thank there having been a kind of a mild winter in Europe for that.
Yes.
But it's, because they have to buy in very small trenches, and because they can't buy ahead, anyone that has more agility will be able to beat their rate.
Got it. How long have you been a member of the Warner Community Power
Since last summer, I think, last July.
And is it based on your history of what you did in your professional career?
I heard that there was a committee, and I said, I think I might have something that I can like an ad.
I think it goes hand in hand. I think you could fill a whole hour. We could talk about the history, and you're a wealth of knowledge.
Well, it's a very complex subject.
It is.
But it's kind of fun to see how all the pieces fit together.
Definitely.
And the pieces fit together, I think, very well for Warner Community Power to be a wonderful bonus for the folks that live in, extra bonus besides the beauty of Warner, for living in the town of Warner.
Well, and what a way to bring a community together, too. I mean, that you're all trying to fight for this one thing and to help each other out, too. Help yourself and help your neighbor.
Yeah, I think it's important that individuals have the most choice that they possibly can in things that they are required to buy.
I love that. Jan Galletti from the Warner Community Power Committee, you're one of the members. Thank you, Jan. When we come back, I'll be joined by Harry Seidel, another committee member, and he's going to give us an overview all about the Warner Power Committee. We'll be right back.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning systems, and backup generators. Their highly trained and friendly staff will assist you throughout the process of buying, installing, and servicing a full line of energy products. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, coming to you from the Warner Town Hall, and we're talking all about this Warren article on March 15th on Town Voting Day. And I'm now joined by Harry Seidel, who's part of the Warner Community Power Committee. Hi, Harry.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great.
This is an exciting time for the town of Warner, and I think we've been talking, obviously, about this committee. So tell us about this Warren article that's coming up on March 15th on Town Voting Day involving the Power Committee.
Okay. If the Warner Community Power Plan is approved by the voters, Warner will then join a growing list of cities, towns, and counties that have joined together to buy power cooperatively. Okay? And by doing so, they'll be able to get prices that they wouldn't normally be able to get as individuals.
Yes.
Okay? And they will be part of this Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire. And that entity will actually be able to deliver lower prices to all residents. Yeah.
Residents and small businesses, we should mention too. It's not necessary, it helps you, your neighbor, but also the businesses that are here in town.
That's right. And all the participating towns that are in that coalition are a part of this buying power. So it's not just a question of the town of Warner getting a better deal because there's 1,500 people in Warner. We're talking about Warner and other communities and counties and cities in the state that have joined together.
Sure.
And that makes a large buying volume, and by doing that they can get much better pricing, and in doing so they can pass that on.
And so what is the work of the Warner Community Power Committee doing leading up to this March 15th voting day?
Well, we've been having information things.
Yep.
We're putting this in the newspaper. We're doing this television spot with Yankee Cable Network.
We love
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And it's been a 2-year process of informing the selectmen in public meetings. So there's been a very robust effort to bring the message to the residents in Warner. And
the message is to vote on March 15th, first off. But what are people going to see as this Warren article on the ballot?
Well, what they're going to see is a yes or no vote on it. Okay. But what's important for them to realize is not only do they have a choice to get a cheaper price, but they also have a choice for how the electric power that they're buying is selected. In other words, right now, the default basic one is 23% renewables.
Okay.
But with the Cooperative Power Coalition of New Hampshire, there's also going to be a 50% option renewables.
Okay.
And a 100% option for renewables.
Wow.
And if you're looking at the power, if you were to look, and Jan could probably show you this, there's times when the renewables have been very, very competitive with the non-renewables.
Okay.
And moving forward, I think that's just a benefit.
Got it.
And Warner's always been a town that has prided itself in being at the forefront of decisions that affect energy. You know, with the solar array,
Sure.
way back many years ago.
Yep.
And the solar array is done very well, and it actually is a plus for the town every year.
The other thing we should reiterate is someone who votes on March 15th, if you vote yes, it does not automatically make you enrolled in this power supply. It is just voting for the town is yes, and then you have to opt in.
That's exactly right.
That's an important
exactly
part
right.
to make because we don't want people to think that they would just hand in their ballot and now, oh no, if this goes, I'm in, and I'm not prepared to make that yes or no decision for my household or my business. This is just for the town, and then you still have to decide whether you want to participate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And a few other points that are kind of related.
Yeah.
There's going to be no tax dollars involved with this program. Okay? And nobody has to participate in the program. And you're not going to see any difference in your bill.
That's an important part.
And the energy assistance eligibility, let's say you're doing that doesn't change either.
Okay.
The only thing that's going to be different is that the power part of your bill will be from the New Hampshire Community Power Coalition as opposed to one of the default rated suppliers now.
And so you're only getting one bill, the bill that you're used to. The rate is just what's going to be different. You're not getting
lower.
A split bill, and it'll be lower, which is important to make.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this in a few other interviews, but the timing of this is so important because everybody is feeling the brunt of the cost of living going up.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
And anything you can do to reduce your costs in your family or in your town is a positive.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is something which is a collective benefit for the town of Warner.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And all the other cities and counties and towns in the state. It's important to understand that this is not just Warner.
Right.
It's a statewide cooperative.
Well, and hopefully more towns and cities will join in on this as well.
Well, they're signing up rapidly.
Yeah.
They're signing up rapidly.
Which is fantastic.
I guess the most important takeaway is that voters should realize is that a yes vote doesn't obligate you.
I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Yep.
But enough no votes could mean that nobody in town has the option.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Harry, if people want more information about what they're going to see or about your committee, how do they find out more information?
So if they want more information, they can just go to the website.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And get out there and vote on March 15th.
That's right.
Harry
Thank you very
Seidel,
much.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you're watching and interested to learn more about this for your community or city, please reach out to the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire.
We encourage you to be informed and vote on your town meeting day. Next week, H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating will present another full half hour to issues related to the Kearsarge Regional School District and the budget to be voted on this coming Tuesday in your town. I'll be joined by Winfried Fenneberg, the superintendent. Tune in and then vote. Don't miss our football game of the week on NCTV 8 and YCNNow.com this Sunday and Monday at noon and 7 p.m. This week will feature a replay of Newport versus Mascoma. Our games are brought to you by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating, La Valley's Building Supply, Barton Insurance and Echo Communications, and North Cape Design and Build. I'm Abby Peel. All YCN programs are available anytime on YCNNow.com. Tune in at the same time next week for another edition of Yankee Chronicle, and thank you for watching.
NCTV programs are underwritten in part by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating Oil, Propane, and Motor Fuels, with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning, and backup generators. Their friendly, highly trained, and certified staff is available to assist you throughout the process. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer in New London since 1997, and much further back as the Country Press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications. La Valley Building Supply, serving homeowners and contractors since 1962. Whether you're an experienced builder or simply a do-it-yourselfer, you'll find what you need at La Valley Building Supply. Barton Insurance Agency provides local access to all your business and personal insurance needs, from auto, home, life, to business liability and related needs. Experience the hometown difference of Barton Insurance Agency. Baba's Bar and Grill on Newberry Harbor, for great land fare, seafood, sandwiches, and Baba's award-winning chowder. You won't be disappointed. They're having a lot of fun at Baba's Bar and Grill. The Innertown Record, your weekly hometown newspaper covering the Kearsarge, Sunapee, and Sunshine region of New Hampshire. Online and in print, the Innertown Record. Main Street Bookends in Warner, an independent bookstore providing books, toys, games, cards, and gifts. With a gallery showcasing local arts and artists, Main Street Bookends in Warner. And North Cape Design Build. Thank all our underwriters for making your local programming possible on NC TV.